There is another version of debanking which is going on at the moment, and I had a very interesting experience of it this morning. And it's called dormant. Your bank account goes dormant. And so I received a letter the other day telling me that my RBS account was dormant. I thought this is very odd because I have money in there, and I have money. Um, I have a credit card with it, among other things. And so I find it very odd, except my credit card is now out of date, I notice, and they haven't sent me a new one. And I don't use the account for very much now because it proved to be rather scurrilous. And in addition, there is no RBS in my town. The RBS and my other bank account, both banks moved away from the town, so there is no. It's almost impossible to do real banking in my town. And so you're going for a journey. Okay, off you go. Off you go. Difficult to do real banking in my town. So there we are. And I called the RBS yesterday, and they said, "Oh, no, 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 no! You use NatWest." Well, my heart sank because I thought of Mr. Farage and all the stuff that he had with NatWest dash Coots, depending on how posh you want to be. And so this morning I took my life into my hands and went to NatWest. And in NatWest there were two customers before me. There were three tellers sitting at counters, and I waited in a queue. And then I was told that, first of all, I couldn't pay cheques into the RBS. I've got two cheques which have been sitting around for quite a long time, waiting to go into that account. I couldn't pay. They wouldn't accept them. I said, but I've just been told that this is the place to do it. And they went off to talk to the manager, who was one of the three tellers sitting around. And she was accompanied by somebody else, also backstage. So there were four tellers altogether. And as I say, two customers. By this point, there was only one customer. I think I was the only person in the bank at that point. And so she came back and said, well, she could do it, but only if I had a paying in slip. Well, of course, I don't have one of those. Where would I get one of those from? So I then said, well, in that case, can you also order me a new card? No, we don't do that. I said, but I was told specifically by RBS yesterday that this is exactly what you do. And so she suggested I went to talk to the manager. So I had to wait until the manager was free to talk to me. And then I had a conversation with the manager. Now, the manager tried a sort of passive-aggressive trick, telling me to calm down. I don't believe I was particularly angry, but I certainly was angry by the time she'd finished with me. And I said that I wanted an apology for the way in which I'd been spoken to by her teller, by the clerk who had initially dealt with me. And she told me she wasn't going to serve me at all, and that I should leave. And I thought, well, I haven't used any bad language. I haven't done a sort of Gillian Keegan on her. I've been quite straightforward, and I've done exactly what the RBS wants me to do. But I think there's a crusade in the RBS, NatWest, Coots organisation to debank as many people as possible, either by simply not serving them, by making their accounts dormant, so I've had two whammies on that one, or by literally debanking them because they're considered dangerous people, PEPs. So I've now spoken to the RBS. I've raised a complaint. I'm waiting for a letter of apology from both the RBS and from the NatWest branch in my town, and I wait to see what happens next, because I don't think I'm prepared to accept that sort of behaviour from my bank. And it's not because I've got airs and graces. I'm not trying to claim that I belong to Coots. But if you are told something by one part of a bank, you expect it to happen in another part of the bank if they're part of the same company. But instead, as ever, conversations with banks seem to be a nightmare, and you end up coming home with a headache, and nothing is done. Absolutely nothing is done.